Solitude exposes what narcissists spend their entire lives hiding. When the lights go out, when there's no audience, no admirer, no one left to control, the narcissist faces the one enemy they can't manipulate, their own mind. Behind the charm, behind the ego, behind the mask, there's a silence that terrifies them. Because when no one's watching, when they're not performing, the image they built begins to fall apart. Today, you'll uncover the 6 dark secrets narcissists face when they are alone. Truths they will never admit out loud, but that drive everything they do. Let's begin. When left alone, the narcissist meets their greatest fear, the feeling of emptiness. This emptiness isn't peace, it's panic. It's a void that swallows everything they built to feel alive. Without an audience, they lose their identity. They don't know who they are, without someone to admire them, validate them, or react to them. That's why they're drawn to strong, empathetic people. You become the emotional mirror that reflects the version of themselves they wish was real. But when that mirror disappears, they collapse. This emptiness is unbearable. It's the reason they constantly seek attention, validation, and control. It's what fuels the manipulation, the lies, the endless chaos. When the room goes quiet, they're forced to face the truth. Without others, they don't exist. The second secret of solitude is rage. When alone, narcissists revisit every rejection, every insult, every time they lost control. And they relive it again and again. They replay arguments in their heads. They imagine revenge. They fantasize about making you regret walking away. That internal rage is their only company. It's what keeps the illusion of power alive when no one's watching. And that's why, when you distance yourself, they react with hoovering, guilt trips, or attacks. Because isolation amplifies their anger. Without someone to dominate, their emotions turn against them. Their mask cracks. Their control slips. This fury becomes the engine that drives their next manipulation. Every silence you give them echoes like an insult they can't tolerate. And in that loneliness, the rage burns quietly and endlessly. Few people realize this. But beneath every narcissist's arrogance lies deep shame. They spend their entire lives trying to outrun it. Shame of being ordinary. Shame of failing. Shame of being exposed. Shame of the lies they tell themselves. When they're alone, that shame has nowhere to go. They can't project it onto you. They can't blame anyone else. They can't rewrite the story. So they drown it in fantasy. They distort memories. They convince themselves they were the victim all along. But in those quiet hours, they know. They feel the weight of their own contradictions. They sense the hollowness beneath the performance. And though they'll never admit it, their shame is the only real thing they feel. When no one is around, the narcissist escapes into their favorite hiding place, fantasy. In their mind, they're adored again, worshipped, unstoppable, always right, always the hero. They replay fake victories. They imagine the world realizing how special they are. They picture you regretting ever leaving. These fantasies aren't confidence, they're anesthesia. A way to avoid the pain of reality, a way to fill the silence. Because the truth is, without illusion, they crumble. The grandiose image is their drug, their defense, their oxygen. But when the fantasy fades, and reality seeps back in, the emptiness returns, and the cycle begins again. In solitude, narcissists are forced to confront the most terrifying truth of all. They control nothing. Not your thoughts. Not your choices. Not your peace. Not the way the world moves on without them. And it eats at them. They crave control because control makes them feel safe. It gives them the illusion of stability in a world they can't emotionally regulate. But when they're alone, that illusion shatters. They can't control your silence. They can't control your growth. They can't control your healing. And that drives them mad. They'll scroll through your life online. They'll imagine ways to pull you back. They'll blame, twist, provoke anything to feel relevant again. Because irrelevance is their biggest fear. And solitude is full of it. Here lies the final secret. The fear that haunts them when everything else is gone. They're afraid that you no longer need them. Not that you hate them. Not that you moved on. But that you found peace, and it doesn't include them. That's the true collapse of their ego. They fear your silence more than your anger. They fear your distance more than your confrontation. They fear your healing more than your love. Because when you heal, you stop feeding their power. You stop explaining yourself. You stop reacting. You stop being the mirror that sustains their illusion. And in that silence, they vanish. Not because you destroyed them, but because you stopped believing in the image they built. That's the end of their power. And the beginning of your freedom. If this message resonated with you, if you saw truth in these patterns, or if you're healing from a narcissistic relationship, don't keep this to yourself. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs clarity and strength. You are not alone. And your silence, your peace, your strength, are the things they fear the most.